Hey guys, so I tell like it is, without a shadow of a doubt, by the numbers, there was Russian collusion in the election because the deep state of the Freemasonic Zionist bankers, the ones that lend money to governments, that is especially profitable during wartime when governments are short on money and need to turn to somebody else in order to receive more money for their armies and for their weaponry, turn to international bankers to receive loans with interest. This is how the Zionist bankers make money off of World War III. Donald Trump was in there in order to destabilize the West, to weaken NATO, to weaken and cripple America within, to serve as a puppet to Putin, who is owned by the same people, the Zionist bankers, so the elites are able to kickstart World War III. Donald Trump's presidency is going to be responsible for this. By the numbers, I'm here to break it all completely down. August the 2nd of 2016, Trump, I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged. He is absolutely right. Donald Trump is absolutely right. He knew this election was going to be rigged for him with the help of Master Putin and the Freemasonic Zionist bankers. Because here is the story. By the numbers, so the practice of gematria and numerology is the knowledge you need to see how rigged these elections are. Donald Trump said this: I'm afraid the election is going to be rigged. I'm afraid the election is going to be rigged equals 196 in gematria. This is very significant by the numbers because in gematria, the practice of coding letters and words into numbers, it is the Freemasonic Zionist bankers are the deep state. That equals 196 in gematria. I'm afraid the election is going to be rigged equals 196 in gematria, and that is the grand master plan, is to put a Russian puppet with no intellect, with the language of a second grader. He talks like a second grader. He has no idea how to negotiate, to compromise. He has no idea what he's doing, and this is all by design. He's taking orders from Putin to weaken NATO so it's open for attack. NATO is put in there not for some one-world government, but to prevent war in the East, to prevent war in Europe, and NATO has served its purpose. And Donald Trump is here to put that all to waste for all the last 60, 65 or so years. It's really unbelievable. By the numbers, this election was rigged. The deep state rigged the election for Donald John Trump equals 230. It is because the puppet of the deep state is President Donald John Trump. 230 divided by 2 is 115. The puppet of the deep state is under the 115th Congress. That is the president himself, Donald John Trump. So going back here, President Donald John Trump equals 115. What's significant about the puppet of the deep state? Okay, the deep state rigged the election for Donald John Trump equals 230. What is significant about that is that July the 22nd is the 203rd day of the year. So you ask, what may be significant about 203? Well, I will go down to the main calculator here, and I'm going to show you exactly what is happening. President Donald John Trump's collusion with Russia in gematria equals 203. July the 22nd of 2016 was when the world found out about Russian collusion during the Democratic National Convention, when the Russians hacked into the Democratic National Convention's Democratic National Committee's servers. They're showing that Hillary Clinton and the Democratic establishment were here to prevent Bernie Sanders from winning the election. This sort of activity is what turned people away from the Democratic Party and what helped Donald Trump to begin with. And understand something is that the DNC helped Donald Trump win when they prevented the only candidate who could beat Donald Trump from winning the election. What we're talking about here is the general election. Bernie Sanders polled to beat Donald Trump by double digits. Here, Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, was only single digits, less than 5 points. Clinton did not have the support. She was an establishment candidate. Bernie Sanders was the only one out there who was anti-establishment. It was July the 22nd, the day of the Democratic National Committee leak. That was the day that Russian collusion was exposed. Anyone who believes on the contrary is a proponent of Russian fake news. A PSYOP campaign out there from Trump's puppet to divert the truth from the media. This is what dictators and puppet masters like Vladimir Putin do, is to destabilize America from within. He's doing an amazing job. This is what 203 signalizes in July the 22nd. The collusion with Russia. They break into the Democratic National Committee servers. They ordered that attack. Colluded with Russia, the synagogue of Satan, the Zionist bankers that rigged these elections, 223 and 79. Notice the Grand Master Plan in Pythagorean Gematria equals 79. It's worth noting, though, that synagogue of Satan equals 190 and 64. Vladimir Putin was 64 years old during the election when Donald Trump was elected president, November the 8th of 2016. The election was rigged for Donald John Trump. Vladimir Putin hijacked the Republican Party, 190. President Putin, 190 and 73. World War III equals 73 in Gematria. Vladimir Putin, the puppet master, is holding the strings. Putin hijacked the Republican Party. Who colluded with President Putin? What does 147 signalize? Donald John Trump's birthday is June the 14th. The amount of time from June the 14th of 2016 to the day of the election was a time span of 147 days. From Donald Trump's 70th birthday to November the 8th, the day of the election, 147 days. That was when collusion in the outcome of the election occurred, 147 days later. Rigged for Trump equals 87. The collusion with Russia against Clinton equals 87. Vladimir Putin funding these far-right populist movements, these same populist movements that were responsible for World War II. Right-wing populism with Hitler and Mussolini. Far-right equals 87. Donald Trump's inane comments and childish tweets, his childish outbursts. I say the best words. I can shoot someone at the middle of Fifth Avenue and still wouldn't lose any voters. Mexico's gonna pay for the wall. You guys are a bunch of fucking retards for voting for him. Idiocracy equals 87 and 51. Conspiracy equals 51 in Gematria. Russia equals 87. How do we know this collusion was on? August the 2nd was the day I'm afraid the election was going to be rigged. October the 28th was the day that, oh, it's rigged for Clinton, right? Not exactly. You know the deep state wanted Trump to win if James Comey opened the FBI investigation into Clinton literally a week before the election. October the 28th was when he did this. Donald Trump fired the guy who helped him win the election. Donald Trump fired Comey, who literally helped him by reopening the email investigation before the election. So you know there's dirt on Donald Trump there. You know it to be true. October the 28th. What's significant about 87 is that there are 87 days from the day Donald Trump said, I am afraid the election is going to be rigged. in the day that James Comey reopens the FBI investigation. 87 days, a new world order in the deep state. They're trying to start World War III. Russian collusion in practice right now. That's what 87 signalizes. When you include the end day, it's 88 days from those 2 days. It is Vladimir, it is Moscow, it is Trump, it is the Republican Party that equals 88 in gematria. The deep state puppets are going to start World War III. Not only do all of these references equal 87, the longtime independent senator from Vermont against the beast itself, the Republicans and the Democrats, the establishment Democrats of the deep state and the Republicans. It has always been the deep state against Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was the only one who represented change in America to give more power to the people. The people's president was Bernie. Meaningful change and meaningful solutions were offered in the Bernie Sanders campaign. He wanted to argue on the positions. It should stop with these ad hominem political attacks. Talk about the issues. That's a real candidate right there. That's a real president. He would not ruin our diplomatic relations with our allies. This is what chaos is about. That's what Trump is about. The deep state versus Bernie equals 87. The collusion with Russia and rigged for Trump. It was rigged against Bernie to be able to destroy Donald Trump in the general election. The deep state versus Bernie. Vladimir Putin rigged the 2016 election, 222. Completely rigged. The deep state versus Bernie Sanders. You know, the Freemasons, Zionists, and Jesuits. You know, Putin owned the Republican Party thanks to his puppet banker masters who need this perfect puppet to start World War III. Someone who owes a lot of debt to Russia and a master manipulator of sheep, which is what Donald Trump is. Collusion equals 39, involving an election between two candidates from New York equals 39. There's a total of 39 days from Donald Trump's birthday to the day of the leak on July the 22nd. A total of 39 days when you include the end day from Donald Trump's birthday to the day the Russians hacked the DNC servers. It is collusion in gematria that equals 39. This is no coincidence. Bernie Sanders retarded America with a K. I've heard some very dumb comments from people that you'd think are just Russian bots, but it really just symbolizes the real-life idiocracy that America is. That actual facts about Donald Trump's Russian connections in his cabinet, the fact that he couldn't receive any money from U.S. banks, he had to go to Russia, all these Russian mobsters being tenants at Trump Tower, is somehow all fake news. This is all an idiocracy. This is what retarded America with a K represents, is that Putin owns your country right now. Bernie Sanders in the rigged election against him. Rigged against Bernie Sanders, 128. It is because the deep state was rigging the election. 128. The deep state, 47 in Pythagorean gematria. Their puppets are all Republican right now during this 115th Congress. That's going to set off this global chaos. It is pro-Trump itself right now because that's who they wanted to be elected. And understand something, that Putin is not friends with Hillary, that they're not dealing in all of this. Hillary Clinton accused Vladimir Putin of, Putin accused Hillary Clinton of inciting unrest over his election vote. And notice the date, 12-8. The deep state. Putin's relationship with Hillary Clinton. Well, you rigged the election against Hillary. You have a puppet that could do everything to help him win. Is what the deep state wanted. And understand something with Hillary, that she represents the establishment. She represents the bankers. But you need a Putin-friendly puppet in order to start World War III. Hillary Clinton was never the one to start World War III. Putin absolutely hates Hillary. He would not help Hillary win. The deep state's not helping Hillary win. They need the puppet that is beholden to Russia. This is what all of this represents. Putin won the election. The deep state 95, the propaganda wing of the deep state in Trump's third campaign manager from Breitbart, Goldman Sachs banker, these deep state puppets out there, Steve Bannon, Breitbart equals 95, trickle down economics, and President Donald Trump equals 95. The deep state bought you guys and sold you guys the recurring lie of trickle down economics in order to destabilize the economy and to allow our debt to explode. Part of this domestic chaos, part of this build up to World War III. The election was rigged for Donald Trump equals 170 because World War III is on the agenda. World War III is completely on the agenda. Trump's going to get assassinated after his presidency is what I'm going to predict, but it's the puppet here that is making all of the moves that's going to allow Russia to get stronger and to build it up right before World War III. Hillary Rodham Clinton lost the election equals 170, and World War III equals 170. It was never Hillary Clinton. You guys really don't know anything about geopolitics and what really World War III is about, and what really Vladimir Putin's ideology is to make Russia the dominating force of the region. The election was rigged for Donald John Trump. Hillary Rodham Clinton lost the election. World War III 170. It couldn't be any more obvious. World War III retarded America 171. Donald Trump, really? Guys, out of your minds? The election was rigged against Bernie, right? Oh, he's a communist and all of this. Socialist. To thinking that he is a literal socialist. That government owns everything. Nope, government does not own everything under Bernie Sanders. We have a mix of capitalism and socialism. The balance, the practical solution, a balance between the two to even out the pendulum is ideal. That's not what the elites want. It is because they want the rich and the wealthy and the powerful to hold all the strings. That's why it was rigged against Bernie. This is why they divide and conquer the populace when the rigged media out there was constantly allowing Donald Trump to stay in the news to give him all this attention. That's how the media helped him win. They rigged it against Bernie because the corporate media out there labeled him a communist and a socialist. They were not open to Bernie Sanders' coverage. They were biased for Hillary. Because no one likes Hillary. Everyone likes Bernie. Bernie would have beaten any candidate out there. So he helped rig the Democratic primaries for Hillary Clinton. Putin's pawn equals 45 in Vladimir Putin's plan. So here on the calculator, Agent Trump and Putin's pawn, that is what July the 22nd of 2016 was all about. Right here, July the 22nd of 2016 is 45. Agent Trump, Putin's pawn, 45th president. It's all about the number 45. When you add the 20, notice that this turns into 65. What this is about, Putin's plan. Funny that Vladimir Putin's plan equals 230 in gematria. And the fact that below, as I've already covered, that you have these phrases that equal 230. For instance, once I scroll up here in the calculator, you know, the puppet of the deep state is President Donald John Trump equals 230, and that was, you know, Vladimir Putin's plan, and Putin's owned by the same people. So this is what this election is about. Collusion and building up World War III. So I'll be able to exit the video once I see where my mouse is at. Pretty much this is the end of the video here. That circle mark. I just have to find my mouse again. This is the end of the video, pretty much. find my mouse again. Okay. No mouse. I have my mouse here. Let's see here. Okay, got my mouse back. I'm ready to end the video.